The power of the unconscious mind is truly remarkable. It shapes our perceptions, behaviors, and decisions in ways that we're often completely unaware of. Today, I'd like to explore the fascinating world of the unconscious mind and how it rules our behavior in subtle yet profound ways. I'm Roach, Mark Roach. Welcome to Transcendent, my YouTube channel, where I share a perspective formed from a journey around the world through life, crossing a wide spectrum of human experience from high to low, as most people in American society define them. This channel is all about inspiring common people to find their power. Over the past few decades, researchers have made incredible strides in understanding how the unconscious mind works. Using brain imaging techniques and clever psychological experiments, scientists have uncovered an array of unconscious processes that shape our thoughts, feelings, and actions outside of our conscious awareness. Let's start by defining what we mean by unconscious processes. These are mental operations that happen automatically, without effort, and outside of our conscious control or awareness. They're not the dark, repressed urges that Freud talked about. Rather, they're the rapid, efficient cognitive processes that allow us to navigate the world smoothly. Our brains are constantly taking in a flood of sensory information, sights, sounds, smells, and more. It would be overwhelming to consciously process it all, so our unconscious minds do a lot of the heavy lifting, filtering and interpreting information before it reaches our conscious awareness. This allows us to focus our limited conscious attention on what's most important. A great example of this is how we perceive the visual world. When you look around the room right now, you have the sense of seeing everything clearly all at once. But that's an illusion created by your unconscious mind. In reality, your eyes only take in high resolution details in a small area at the center of your vision. The rest is blurry. Your brain fills in the details based on context and expectations to create the seamless visual experience that you perceive. We can demonstrate this with a simple experiment. Look at an image of a road stretching into the distance. Now you can see the scene clearly, and now your retina actually picks up only what the center sees in focus. Everything else is blurry. There's even a blind spot where your optic nerve connects. Your brain automatically processes this limited input of this very simple image to construct the clear, complete scene that you perceive. This illustrates a key principle. Our perceptions aren't directly reflections of reality, but constructions created by our brains. Our unconscious minds combine sensory input with our knowledge, expectations, and past experiences to interpret the world around us. We see this in action with optical illusions. Take a look at a checkerboard image, a square that might appear much darker than a square next to it, and they can actually be the same shade of gray. Your brain interprets them differently based on the context of the shadows. Even when you know the truth, it's hard to override this automatic interpretation. Our unconscious minds don't just shape our visual perceptions, they also play a huge role in how we perceive and interact with other people. Humans are incredibly social species. We've evolved specialized brain regions like the fusiform face area, dedicated to processing social information. These unconscious social processes allow us to rapidly categorize people and make snap judgments about them. When you see someone in a police uniform or a doctor's white coat, you automatically have a certain expectation about how to interact with them. This happens instantly, without a conscious thought. While these quick judgments often can be useful, they can also lead us astray. Our brains are pattern matching machines, always looking for familiar categories. This can cause us to make unfounded assumptions or fall prey to stereotypes. Being aware of these unconscious biases is the first step to overcoming them. One area where unconscious processes have a major impact is in how we form impressions of other people, especially public figures like politicians. We like to think we judge candidates based on their policies and qualifications, but research shows that unconscious factors like how competent someone's face looks plays a surprisingly large role. In one study, researchers created campaign flyers for fictional congressional candidates. They used makeup and photography tricks to make each candidate look more or less competent in different versions of the photos. Everything else about the candidates was identical, yet people were 14% more likely to say they'd vote for the candidate when shown their more competent looking photo. That's a huge swing based on solely on appearance. Even more remarkably, when researchers applied this to real political races, they found they could predict the winners of 70% of elections just by having people rate the candidates' faces for competence. That's a better success rate than many political forecasters achieve using polling data and complex models. Of course, a candidate's experience or a candidate's appearance shouldn't determine their fitness for office, but this research shows how powerful our unconscious minds shape our judgments, even when we think we're being objective. Another fascinating area of unconscious influence is touch. We often underestimate how important physical contact is for human social bonding, but touch has a profound effect on how we perceive and interact with others. Consider an experiment conducted in France. Researchers had young men approach women on the street and ask for their phone number. Half the time, the men lightly touched the woman's arm while making the request. This simple touch doubled their success rate. 20% of women gave their number when touched, compared to just 10% without touch. We see similar effects in other contexts too. In one study, waiters and waitresses were instructed to briefly touch some customers on the arm while serving them. Those light touches led to 17% tips on average compared to 14.5% for untouched customers. Why does touch have such a profound or powerful effect? Humans, like other primates, use physical contact to build social bonds and establish trust. We even have specialized nerve fibers in our skin that seem to exist primarily to convey the pleasantness of social touch. A simple touch creates an immediate, unconscious sense of connection. Of course, unwanted or inappropriate touching can have the opposite effect. The key is that these touches were light, brief, and socially appropriate. In the right context, they tap into our deep-seated need for human connection. Our unconscious minds don't just shape how we perceive others, they also influence how we see ourselves. We all have an internal self-image that guides our behavior, but that self-image is often unconsciously shaped by our surroundings and experiences. A clever experiment demonstrated this using mirrors. Researchers had people perform a task while sitting in front of either a regular mirror or a subtly distorting mirror that made them look slightly thinner or heavier. Those who saw a thinner reflection of themselves subsequently ate less food. Those who saw a heavier reflection ate more. Participants weren't consciously aware of the distortion, but it unconsciously shifted their self-image and behavior. This illustrates how malleable our sense of self can be. Our brains are constantly absorbing cues from our environment that shape how we see ourselves. Being aware of these influences can help us take more control over our self-image and actions. The unconscious mind also plays a huge role in our memories. We tend to think of memories as video recordings stored in our brains, but in reality, memories are reconstructed each time we recall them. Our unconscious mind fills in gaps and sometimes even creates false memories. One famous study, researchers showed how fake ads for Disneyland featuring Bugs Bunny. Later, many participants remembered meeting Bugs Bunny at Disneyland as a child. But this is impossible. Bugs Bunny is a Warner Brothers character, not a Disney one. Their minds had consciously constructed a false memory based on the suggestive ad. This malleability of memory has major implications from eyewitness testimony in court cases to how we interpret our own life stories. Our memories aren't perfect recordings, but constructions influenced by our unconscious expectations and beliefs. This unconscious mind even shapes our language in subtle ways. Studies have found that the metaphors we use unconsciously influence how we think about abstract concepts. For instance, people primed with words related to cleanliness and purity tend to make harsher moral judgments. The association between physical and moral cleanliness affects their thinking without them even realizing it. Similarly, describing crime as a beast ravaging the city versus a virus infecting the city leads people to favor different solutions, even though the factual content is relatively the same. Our linguistic metaphors shape our unconscious framing of issues. All of this might make it seem like we're at the mercy of unconscious forces beyond our control. But that's not really the case. By understanding the unconscious mind and how it works, we can learn to harness its power and make better decisions. One key is to create environments that nudge our unconscious minds in positive directions. If you want to eat healthier, simply use smaller plates can unconsciously reduce portion sizes. If you want to become more creative, working in a room with high ceilings has been shown to promote more abstract thinking. We can also train our unconscious minds through deliberate practice. Studies have found that doctors can improve their intuitive diagnostic skills by repeatedly practicing with the same cases, with sample cases. And over time, their unconscious pattern of recognition improves, leading to faster and more accurate diagnoses. Meditation and mindfulness practices can also help us become more aware of unconscious processes. By observing our thoughts and reactions without judgment, we can start to notice unconscious patterns and biases. This awareness is the first step to changing them. And it's also important to recognize the limits of conscious willpower. Relying on conscious effort alone to change habits or resist temptation is often ineffective. Instead, we can set up our environments to make desired behaviors easier and undesired ones harder. This leverages our unconscious tendencies rather than fighting against them. Understanding the unconscious mind can also improve our relationships and communication. Recognizing that people's reactions are often driven by unconscious factors can help us be more empathetic. And being aware of our own unconscious biases helps us to make fairer, more objective judgments. In the business world, tapping into unconscious processes can lead to more effective marketing. In product design, companies spend millions researching how unconscious factors like color, shape, and placement affect human behavior, consumer behavior. But individuals can use these same principles to make their ideas more compelling or their work more engaging. The unconscious mind is also crucial for creativity and problem solving. When we're stuck on a difficult problem, taking a break often leads to sudden insights. This is because our unconscious minds continue to work on problems even when we're not consciously focusing on them. Giving ourselves time for unconscious processing can lead to breakthrough ideas. As we've seen, the unconscious mind is incredibly powerful. It shapes our perceptions, decisions, and behaviors in countless ways. By understanding how it works, we can work with our unconscious minds rather than against them. This allows us to make better choices, form stronger relationships, and live more fulfilling lives. But it's important to maintain a balanced perspective. While unconscious processes are powerful, we shouldn't discount the role of conscious thought and willpower. Our conscious minds allow us to reflect on our behavior, set intentional goals, and override automatic responses when needed. The ideal is to cultivate a harmonious relationship between our conscious and unconscious mind. We can use conscious awareness and intention to guide our unconscious processes in positive directions. We can learn to tap into the vast resources of our unconscious mind to enhance our conscious capabilities. As we continue to unlock the mysteries of unconsciousness, we're gaining profound insights into human nature. This knowledge has potential to transform fields like education, mental health, business, and beyond. By harnessing the power of the unconscious mind, we can reach new heights of human potential. So the next time you make a decision or form an impression of someone, remember that there's more going on beneath the surface than you may realize. Your unconscious mind is constantly at work, shaping your experiences in subtle yet powerful ways. By cultivating awareness, these hidden processes, you can take greater control of your life and tap into the incredible potential of your own mind. I'm Mark Roach, wishing you all the best.